Welcome! This video is a part of a series about clinical trials at UCSF. The topic of this video is how does the budget, informed consent form, and clinical trials agreement language affect the coverage analysis? The budget, informed consent form or ICF, and clinical trial agreement or CTA all have major influences on the coverage analysis, both the initial and final coverage analyses. This video will explore how each of these items relates to the others. When the coverage analysis team within the Office of Clinical Research starts to develop a draft billing grid, it is comparing the draft ICF, CTA, and budget to the initial coverage analysis. It is also determining the items and services that can be appropriately billed per Medicare regulations. To ensure that the language of the initial coverage analysis and the billing grid reflect the intentions of the PI and study team, the Office of Clinical Research uses budget goals provided by the PI and study team, as well as any additional clarifying information. On the intake form, the study team must indicate the following information about the study. The sponsor will pay for all protocol-required services, in which case all will be billed to the study, or all services will be conventional care and billed to the patient or insurance, in which case all will be billed to the patient, or services will be a mix of the sponsor paying for research and insurance or Medicare paying for standard of care. This is sometimes called mixed billing, or sum-sum, as in bill some to study and some to patient. If the sponsor is paying for all items and services, the language in all documents must reflect the sponsor's intent. All billing designations will be coded R for research, and all charges will then be routed to the study account, or ZZ account. If the budget goals of the PI or study team are to bill the patient, or their insurance, for as many items as appropriate, and bill the sponsor for certain protocol-required services, the coverage analysis will be drafted according to Medicare billing rules around clinical trials, which delineate routine costs in a qualifying clinical trial. For this scenario, some billing designations will be S, indicating bill to the patient or their insurance, and some will be R for research. A review of the study documents must be performed to ensure the language is accurate for this scenario. Comparing the documents. If the ICF and other supporting documents state that, quote, you will not be charged for any of the study activities, or contain any similar phrasing, then the item or services listed in the ICF must be billed to the sponsor. If the document contains this language, the ICF and/or protocol must be consistent. The CTA must also have the corresponding language. If some items are expected to be covered by the sponsor, then all documents must be harmonized accordingly. The Institutional Review Board, or IRB, should be considered the source of truth and should maintain version control for these documents. Any documents emailed from the study teams to the coverage analysis intake team will be compared to documents in the IRB's system, IRIS, to ensure that it is the latest version. The review of the ICF is important when drafting a coverage analysis. First, the financial responsibilities of the study participant must be explained in the ICF cost language section. Any items or services that are indicated in the ICF as billed to sponsor must not be billed to Medicare or third-party payer, insurance, even if it was otherwise billable. The cost language in the ICF takes precedence over the sponsor CTA when the ICF promises the study-related items will be billed to the sponsor. This is because the ICF creates a contract between the patient and the hospital, which binds both parties. Both the sponsor CTA cost language and the ICF cost language should agree in the final documents. Medicare allows coverage for items and services that are conducted to diagnose or treat complications associated with the investigational team or service for qualifying clinical trials. The ICF informs the subject of the procedures that will be performed during the study. The procedures in the ICF should be reviewed for consistency with the protocol. A final word. The term study-related procedures is viewed by sponsors in different ways and sometimes refers to any item or service required by the protocol, even if the item or service is medically necessary. Medicare does not pay for items and services that the sponsor has agreed to pay for in the final CTA. This applies whether the service is billable or not. If the CTA document has conditional payment language or does not match the PI's budget goals, the language will need to be edited or removed from the CTA. Conditional payment language is when an item or service may have two different billing determinations. This language should be avoided or eliminated so items or services can be billed correctly. Please consult your coverage analyst for any questions.